What's happening, YouTube? Welcome to Moose Preparedness. I am Moose, coming to you live from an underground bunker in an undisclosed location somewhere in potentially Europe. As most of you know from watching the channel, I was in the south of the United States. The military said, hey, it's time to move. So guess what you do when they say move, you move. But I wanted to show you kind of how we prioritize some of our loadouts for getting here. Now, for those of you who have ever moved with the military, especially overseas, you have multiple different shipments. So the first shipment that usually goes out is called unaccompanied baggage. That means stuff that you send out many months ahead. It's supposed to go by faster means, but ours didn't, with the intent of you get into whatever country or area you're going to, and then you're then immediately able to get your stuff. And that's how it worked out for us. So what I wanted to do was front load things that we knew that were crucial just in case shit happens. So if you've been watching the news at all, Europe's kind of funny right now, right? So we've got things going on with both the current administration, Russia, Ukraine, the whole nine yards. So having essentials on hand is never a bad thing. And we came here knowing that this was going to be a challenge, but it's also a good way to kind of see, hey, what works, what didn't work, how can we do better for the next time? Anyway, so I want to go over the top 5 things that we really focused on, and then I kind of show you some of the other stuff that we packed up to make sure it got out here in time. So the first thing is shelter. So we left in the middle of January from the United States. So what does that mean? Well, if you're coming from the south, which is relatively seasonable, it was in the mid 30s, low 40s on the cold days, although it did happen to snow the day we left, which was super fun to watch. But we had mostly seasonable temperatures, right? So we didn't have to worry about cold. Where we went to was significantly further north in latitude, and then we're also in a lot of hill country where we do get snow, and it is cold, and significantly more windy than where we're at in the stagnant south. So the biggest thing that we focused on was, okay, so you know the whole rule of threes, right? 3 seconds without hope, 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter was shelter. So what I've got in front of me, this is our bivy cover for our tent. So this was focused on, hey, if we need it because we don't have a place to go, this is the actual bivy cover. The tent is further down here. All the poles. It is a simple 4-person tent, but it keeps the rain off of you. Fantastic to have an additional way to protect the whole family. It would be tight, yep, but guess what? It's cold, so if we have to snuggle for warmth, it is what it is. The other thing that I got as well, and this is for typically for whenever I'm out doing my own solo stuff, is I've got a relatively lightweight 2-person dome tent. It's from REI. So far, pretty good. I think it weighs 4 pounds, 7 ounces. So relatively light. About a half a gallon of water is the weight. But bottom line was we had this that came in our bags. Now, did I have more than just this? Absolutely. But I wanted to start with shelter, making sure we had it. In my previous video, I also talked about how we actually hand carried with us sleeping stuff, specifically sleeping bags that would go down to -20. So as long as we had a roof over our head, these bags would keep us all warm, and everybody had their bags with them. So you can get those, I think, on Midway USA. Look for the Browning bag. They were approximately 80 bucks when I think the last time I saw, but it's been a hot minute. So anyway, first thing we focused on was shelter. How do we make sure that we keep us safe? Because, hey, we're moving cross country with the hope of everything being normal, with the hope of going into either a hotel or into our domicile. So hopes and prayers are always a good thing, but it's always best to be prepared just in case. Now, thankfully, we did not have to use the sleeping bags. We didn't have to use the tent because we were able to have a hard stand building over our head. However, we did have to use the sleeping bags because, hey, that one bag that ended up getting lost was the majority of our bedding. So we were told to come out here with bedding. We did. We complied. We brought it in our bag, and there was one bag that didn't show up. So it would have been a very cold night had we not had our sleeping bags. And then again, we have friends out here that were able to kind of cover down. Just harkens to the point that you really should have a network of friends. Anyway, I digress. Check and see anything else. Nope, those are all good. All right, so the next one I wanted to talk about was water. Obviously, going into a new location, you have no idea about the quality of the water. We had done some extensive research about the area we're in. The water is relatively safe. However, we didn't really leave much to chance. We have the big Berkey upstairs. I think it's a 3.5 gallon tank. but I consistently travel. All of us have at least 1 or 2 Sawyer minis for the group that we have. There's 5 of us. So that way we have, but then I had reinforcements or support. So here is some of ours. So I've got another one. It's a Katydine water filter. I still have the bags in here. I try and keep all the stuff in them. Great little system. Very backpackable. I still prefer the Sawyer minis. I just think they work better and last longer. There's a huge tote that this is resting on, but these are my little 1 liter squeeze bags for the minis. Here's a backup kit plus an all-in-one flush kit. You can see it's been well used, well loved, right? So it's got the flush kit, which is awesome. Yeah, I mean, good stuff, right? I've actually absolutely loved their products. So this one, just in case you're like, hey, that's not a Sawyer mini. I know, this is actually for a water bottle. So what you do is you take this, screw this cap on onto a water bottle. I don't think I have one down here. You screw that onto the water bottle, and then you can squeeze it through. So that way, if you fill up a nasty water bottle stays down here. You can cap this off whenever you're going through. I also have another one. I haven't opened it. I get all these weird ones. Never used this one before. This is a survival filter, but again, this is what, my 3rd or 4th one, and then I've got a bunch of other water filters in this actual tote that got shipped out. But water was the next priority. Why? Well, because if you don't have water, what do you have? Kind of a up shit creek, right? Need it within 3 days. So 3 hours without shelter, then it's 3 days without water, and then it's 3 weeks without food. So I'll go ahead and start. There you go. Here's one of my backup minis. Gee, it's like I buy a lot of them. And yes, these aren't just the only ones. I like to keep them in the packages though if I've got spares. Why would you have spares? Because 2 is 1, 1 is none. So, food. So I typically I fast during most of the days because I find that helps me keep sort of in army shape, which is what they ask me for. They don't like fat guys. But one of the things that I typically do is I carry like MedRx protein bars. They're easy to pack, they're easy to store away. Nobody says anything different if you're carrying them. Although, funny story, I was leaving in an airport in the South, and I did get the TSA, which is, depending on the person, they can be pretty worthless. And this person goes, hey, you have something in your bag that has the same signature when we were scanning as plastic explosives. Huh? So she goes through and she took my Cookie Crunch MedRx bar, which tastes good enough to where you don't think you're eating something sort of healthy. She ended up proceeding to take it and then was like twisting it and smashing it like a karate chopping. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, if you're hungry, just open it. If you want me to open it, I'll eat it because you're smashing my food. I always carry those. All the kids had food. We had enough food on us for 24 hours without sustainment, just in case. And that's just calorically. Why? Never know where you're gonna get stuck, and it's midnight, and guess what? In the airport, you're SOL. If you've ever been to Europe on a Sunday, they stop working. The churches are open, the restaurants are open, but if you happen to show up late on a Sunday, sorry about your luck, man. There is no food available. So we had plenty of this kind of stuff, or those kind of things available. I also travel with a ton of Mountain House stuff. So I genuinely love Mountain House. You can see that's creamy mac and cheese because I'm a giant child. But the good part is I have kids, so I can pretend it's for them and I can reenact my childish love of mac and cheese. But here's some packets. So I've got a multitude, and then I got some coupon somewhere. 72-hour kit from Ready Hour. Never tried it. I mean, whatever. Southern Survival brand trail chili. So we've got all these things, food on hand should we need it. Well, how do you cook it? Well, if you don't have a way to cook it, you're up Schitt's Creek because that's dehydrated food. You need hot water. So again, we've already covered water. Now I need hot water. So I typically travel with a jet boil or something similar. This is a giant jet boil jewel. Giant pot, fantastic for cooking when you've got a large family. And if you've ever cooked on the smaller ones are kind of they're great, don't get me wrong. I love them, but they're a pain in the ass for trying to feed a ton of folks quickly. So you can see how big that is. So you just screw in your butane stove upside down, turn on the key here, flick a match, flick a lighter, you're good to go. So this can boil up multiple quarts of water at the same time. I think it's a quart, maybe it's a liter. I forget what the actual measurement size is, but it'll boil all that up for you relatively quickly. It's also a great way to start a fire. So as we're talking, yes, shelter, you could call shelter, part of shelter being fire as well. All of my kids travel through the airport with an extra lighter in their bag. My wife had a lighter in her bag. I had one in my bag, and I had one on my person. So, I mean, I was a little worried that somebody was going to say, "Oh no, your kids are smoking, or your kids have access to fire." It's like, yeah, it's okay. If you've ever been to Europe, shit, everybody here smokes. I wouldn't be surprised if they start smoking in like the 6th grade. I also have smaller packs. So these ones are the kind of the cheapo knockoff Chinese versions. One of these has failed on me in the past, but they're pretty good. I put a stainless steel Stanley cup, say that 5 times fast, on this, on the top. Again, only simple butane, so I just so happen to have butane stuff that may or may not have been in my bag, if anybody asks. But it was an ability for me to go. So, and then I also have other backup stuff. Why would you have backups? Well, because stuff happens, right? So this is from the Pathfinder bottle. And yes, it's still in the plastic because I don't use that bottle very often. But this is, I'm watching, won't be able to get it off on camera, but there we go. If you've ever seen a solo stove, this is similar to a solo stove. You can kind of start to make your stuff up underneath it, so you can start a fire. But great way for me to not rely on the, and that goes like that. So now I have a top. So that's a great way to not rely on just having butane, right? So butane's kind of a linchpin. Once it's gone, it's gone. But you can always find stuff to burn. So this was actually in my bag. And then I've got this. This part was not on my bag. Why? Because I have stuff to help me make fire. So that's hot snot. Believe it or not, generally good. I got it in a battle box bag years ago. Spoon and fork, because you always forget it, and then there's a little serrated edge here. Can't tell, I try and keep my stuff sort of clean. Extra fire starting stuff, so there you go. This stuff actually burns really well, the little discs. Let me see if I can separate them out. So you can take those little discs. So those are pretty good. Also comes with another ferro rod. Pretty well used, you can see the stripes. I have a backup ferro rod over here. So this one I kept in this pack. The rest of this stuff that was kind of questionable, I didn't, because TSA asks stupid questions. I really didn't need to be detained by customs either. All right, finally, I've got all this cool stuff, but it's not mine if I can't defend it. So what did I do? So going through the airport, kind of limited in your options. I carried a large wooden stick. It's a cane, it's a walking apparatus, and it is very, very well balanced if I needed to use it for one-handed defensive stuff. Now, when I got here, the laws used to be you can carry a 4-inch knife as long as it wasn't locking. It could be fixed. It was up to 4 inches if it was fixed. Now it's something crazy. Like, they just changed the law because some 13-year-old kid who was of a certain religion we won't go into, but hates Christians and Jewish people and stabbed a bunch of people, so they changed the law. And now they went down to like where I think it's 2 inches, so it's like 4 centimeters is what's illegal to carry on you if it's fixed blade, no locked blades, unless you're out and you're hunting. So that's how this got through. So this says no problem. So this is the Ontario knife and tool. I believe this is the pilot's survival knife, the Air Force survival knife, similar to a K-bar, but not. So I find it to be much better balanced. It's got a very hardy grip on it. I enjoy it. It's got that full tang. It's got a rat tang, so it means that the blade starts here and kind of goes all the way through, but it kind of tapers off towards the end. So it does have many, many uses. The other part I like about this one versus a K-bar, if you look at the top, it's got those two holes. Theoretically, I've seen the Air Force Survival Manual that was written eons ago. You're supposed to be able to take the cord that comes with this and then fashion this into some type of a spear. I don't know. I think the cord that came with it was kind of chintzy, hence I never used it. But the nice part I do like about it is that as part of this really sweet case, there's at least a little sharpening stone. So at least I've got kind of an all-in-one where I can at least sort of be self-sufficient. And then you can see the little grommets at the top here. That's where the little string was at. So that kind of goes into most of the stuff that I brought with that I thought was absolutely essential. If you want to talk about other things that I also included, I'll show you my disaster bag. Please don't judge too harsh because, you know, still moving. But you can see like it's all in there. What else did I bring from here? Fishing pole. Well, fishing pole's no good without hooks. So, whole bag of hooks and lines and sinkers, all that kind of stuff. Brought backup batteries. Here's more. Oh, look, another Sawyer Mini. It's almost like I sort of practice what I preach. Weird. This is I believe this is a camping table. Yep, little table. Because having a table while you're camping or if you're in a bad situation is actually genuinely beneficial. Now, did I bring a lot more than that? Yes, I did. Got more stuff over there. Big thing I also got. So when we showed up into country, limited transportation. Okay, what does that mean? It means that I can only carry and go as far as my feet can go and carry. But if you bring bicycles, now I can go further than I can on foot, and I can get there faster. So that does give you an avenue to explore. Am I saying it's the wisest idea? Your results may vary, but having a heavy-duty mountain bike really does help, especially where I'm at, because it's hilly, and trying to walk this at distance, especially with kids, makes it much more difficult. Versus if you can ride or you can tow something behind you, makes it a lot better. So going back over it, shelter, water filtration. Then we got food. We have, self-defense stuff. And then I think I'm missing one. Oh, shelter, water. You can tell it's been a long couple days. Bottom line, I got the major essentials here. If you like our content, please like, subscribe, please send this out to people. I'm trying to grow the channel to at least pressure the word. Like, great, I will probably never get monetized. I will never have any corporate sponsors, nor do I really care if I do. But the big thing is like, I want to show that, hey, you can do it. I literally have left my entire base of operations. There are no Walmarts. There are no Bass Pros. I've left the entire country, and I can still maintain a way to defend or protect for my family, to provide for my family in bad times. So if I can do that while moving across the country with multiple children, a wife, and a dog, you can do it with Walmart just down the street. Thanks a lot, folks. Out here.